flipping over to the other side of our road to the playoffs preview, Colorado Avalanche's 7-game win streak came to an end last night in the final 10 seconds of overtime against the Anaheim Ducks. It was just a terrible play. Jost basically had a breakaway. He got interfered with, lost the puck. Ducks turned around, went the other way, and scored right before they were about to get to a shootout. But it has been a good stretch for the Avalanche in a moment where a lot of their top players are hurt. Cale Makar hasn't played the last 2 games. Grubauer hasn't played since the Stadium Series. Rantanen's hurt and still isn't ready to return. Burakovsky's hurt. Calvert's hurt. I'm forgetting someone, but there are a lot of guys hurt.
Kadri is still.
Kadri's hurt. So they are struggling but have been able to fill it in. And last night was Landeskog's best game of the season, his first 3-point night of the season, and McKinnon got a goal, and he'd been on an 8-game goalless streak. And it was one of those goals where they were losing. He was really frustrated. He just walked in and shot faster than anyone can shoot and was like, I'm going to take over this game, which tied the game back up. But the Avs have a similar problem to the Nuggets, but not for the same reason. They go on a 7-game winning streak, and they're still 2 points behind the Blues for first place in the Western Conference and in their division. And for those of you that don't know, the way that the NHL playoffs work is the first 2 rounds are all within your division. So the top 3 seeds in each division make it to the playoffs. And then there's a wild card team that can go either way. So last year, the Avs were the last wild card team, so they went over to the Pacific Division and played the best team in the league, the Calgary Flames. They were in the Pacific Division bracket, which is why they played the Flames and the Sharks. This year, the separation between the third-place team, the Dallas Stars, at 82 points, and the wild card teams right now it looks like it's 8 points. So the top 3 teams are basically set in the Central Division, the Blues, the Avs, and the Stars, but they're jockeying for position. Over this win streak, the Avs and the Blues have pulled away from the Stars. The Avs are now 6 points up on the Stars and are battling for the first and second place in the conference and in the division. Now, what is the difference between those two? The Blues, or whoever gets the first position, will get to play the lesser wildcard team.
Sure.
So it looks like it's going to be, there are a number of teams, but all teams the Avs have played pretty well against. The Jets, the Wild, the Predators, the Canucks, the Coyotes are the teams battling for that spot. And if you lose and you get the second place spot, you play the Stars in the first round of the playoffs. And really the top 3 teams in the Western Conference right now are the Blues, the Avs, and the Stars. So the Avs would have to play the Stars in the first round if they get that second spot. They have not played well against the Stars. Mm-hmm. The Stars have the mix of physicality and goal-scoring talent that just really hurts the Avs. It's a much worse matchup for the Avs than even the Blues. And so it's a pretty big drop-off. The only thing that the Avs have going for them is they still have a game in hand over the Blues. And the last game of the season is between the Avs and the Blues here at Pepsi Center.
Oh, that's a good one.
So that's sort of where we stand right now. How are you feeling about the Avs as we head into this last stretch where they have, looks like 16 games left until the playoffs?
Well, my question is, with Rantanen, he's been hurt all season.
Yeah.
Do you just shut him down for now and hopefully he's ready by the playoffs? Because if I'm not mistaken, like, it's just a bunch of like small nagging injuries. And from there, that's just kind of like, I know, I just hurt the hell out of my shoulder. Like, once you're already hurt, it just makes it that much easier to hurt anything else. And I know that the Avs are jockeying for position, but a healthy Mikko Rantanen against any team is maybe better than like a 60 to 80% Rantanen against competition the Avs absolutely should beat. So what do they do with him? Not to mention Kadri
and
Burakovsky,
Makar,
Grubauer.
Yeah, I mean, so the Avs have already gone through one of these streaks before where they had a lot of guys hurt. They did great, just like they're doing now in November, and then everyone came back and they sort of fell off the map. It was like everyone let their foot off the brake. Yeah. I think for two reasons you want to get him back. At least I'd say you'd love to get him back for 10 games before the playoffs, just because they need to get up to game speed, and the Avs need to find their chemistry again. But you're right. There's no reason to rush them back because, as we know from the playoffs last year and all the guys that were hurt, everyone just plays through injuries in the playoffs. So I believe both Landeskog and Johnson had significant injuries. Cole ended up having 2 injuries on both legs, I think, and he was supposed to be out till December originally. So, like, it really does matter. And Grubauer, like, you're hoping he gets hot, and Francouz has emerged as sort of insurance there, where Grubauer also has to play well when he comes back, so he's not going to want to rush it. So, yeah, you definitely want to wait, but you don't want all these guys coming back for the first game of the playoffs because they're not going to be up to game speed. And so they got to balance those two things.
That makes sense.
And, I mean, we've seen this in all sports, but in hockey, it is very hard when a guy comes back in the middle of the playoff run. I mean, the best example we have in sports here is when the Rockies decided to start Willie Tavares in the World Series after he hadn't played for a month, and he did not have a good World Series.
Yeah, but he had like 2 weeks off to try to
I know.
Get up to game speed. But, yeah, I mean, that's a tough one, but it's just like this parade of injuries, you kind of then have to question who is going to be the most efficient. I mean, they're 7-1-2 in the last 10 games. They're still one of the elite teams in the NHL, and clearly based off of earlier in the season right now that really as long as you have a healthy McKinnon, you have a puncher's chance. And I think it's easy to underestimate the rest of the squad and just how good they are. So I'm feeling good about the Avs. I know some of their matchups, like a Blues and Stars, are their Lakers, Clippers. It's just like they don't match up well. Those teams are the ones that can force the Avs to play their style of hockey. But I think it goes without saying that one should have more confidence in the Avs than they should the Nuggets if we're making a comparison between those two.
Yeah, and I think that is some to do with just how the NHL playoffs work, but also just the Avs are playing at a much higher level. They have the 3rd highest goal differential in the league and the highest in the Western Conference, and that's a huge deal. I am worried about for the Avs matchups, even if they get that 1 seed, there's a chance they're playing either the Wild or the Predators in that first round. 2 teams that the Avs have lost to in the playoffs, obviously. And you don't... Neither team that I'm very excited to see in the playoffs, especially the Wild, knowing how they play historically. Yeah. I mean, once the NHL playoffs start, you know, anyone who's in it can win it, which is not true in the NBA. But, yeah, this is the Avs team. And I will say that the Nemesnikov, who they got at the trade deadline, looked really good. He played on the top line last night, got the first goal. And Hutchinson, who the Avs got, who was the backup, really helped them win that game against the Red Wings in a game where they were
he
struggling
looked
to win.
super solid.
Yeah, his first goal was really awful, but then after that he looked really good. So, yeah, I think it's going to be an interesting few weeks here. I'm just ready for playoffs. It's kind of the home stretch is always hard in these because you know, and for the players too, like you know, like it matters so much less than the games coming up.